Most companies have a GTM strategy, but very few have a GTM that actually gets the money. If your go-to-market feels like a series of broken spreadsheets and missed targets, it's time for a system update. Welcome to GTM, get the money live. I'm Chris Ryan and I'm Lee Parillo, your hosts, and we're here to install the operating system for your revenue. We're moving past the theory and getting into the high-stakes execution of what it takes to scale in 2020 fast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome out to GTM. Get the Money Live. We have another episode with another great guest. The purpose of this show, if you haven't tuned in before, is all about revenue problems and how we can help you overcome them. Every week, we have a different guest that comes in that specializes in everything from strategic planning to marketing to sales. It's all about overcoming the problems that we've all probably made internally ourselves, and that's why we can help you learn. Specifically, if you're in the C-suite, CEO, this is a very helpful show. I think there's some good tidbits that you'll take away. It's a fun show. We're not here for subscribers. We're not here for anything but just trying to help. I'm very proud to announce Dave Borland from EOS, and I will do your bio, Dave. One of my favorite things about this show is that I get people's bio, and I know a lot of you for a long time, and it always surprises me when I start to read the bio. And there's some things on here I know that about you that aren't on here as well. So Dave is a 4-time founder. He's a certified EOS implementer. If you don't know what that is, we'll talk about it shortly. He's facilitated, and this was super impressive, 900 external full-day sessions. That's a lot of days. Are you going to hit 1,000 this year?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We'll see. Who doesn't?
We're getting to 1,000 this year, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. So we need 10 new clients, and then we'll get there. You've worked across the United States. You're not just local. You're not in this region. He has been. Your business has been categorized as one of the fastest places to work in Entrepreneur Magazine, Forbes, Inc. Magazine. You've had multiple successful exits. My favorite part about Dave, and I've known Dave for quite a while, is that he's not just a consultant, and this isn't his bio, but it's true because we've hired Dave ourselves to work with our company. He does not come in from a typical consultant approach and just give you a multiple 100-page deck and say, here you go, good luck, and then you just go back to your old ways very quickly. He doesn't dictate, he facilitates, he challenges, and he simplifies. And I think the simplification is probably what I've taken away from EOS and you in general.
Thank you.
So I'll let you say hello to our viewers.
Well, hello, viewers. I'm excited to be here. This is when you invited me in. It's like, of course, it's a blast. We always have a great conversation.
It's always fun. Yes, we like to screw around, so it's always a good time.
That's right.
So for those people that don't know what EOS is, can you just kind of give them the 101?
Yeah, so EOS is short for the Entrepreneurial Operating System, which is why they shortened it up, because I can't say the word entrepreneurial to save my life. But now I do. So what is it? EOS is basically a way to have 3 things we call vision, traction, and healthy. And so vision is having the entire team, your entire company, particularly your leadership team, starting there, having a shared vision, having traction, accountability, execution toward that vision, and then a healthy team, which is usually the missing component with any company. Typically, companies that work with us are anywhere from I have some clients who are 10 people, even less, to 250. I've had a 450 person organization. Oh, wow. And really the idea behind it is just getting people aligned. You know, it's a human energy working in the same direction for some sort of common goal. And it's a simple system. It's not easy, but it's a simple system. It's been proven since 2007. The book Traction came out. There's millions of copies of this book sold. There are people like me out there in the world. We're worldwide now. EOS worldwide truly is. Started with one guy, Gino Wickman, and then blew up. And there's just this last week I was in Florida just for United States and Canada. There's 700 of us there that implementers and getting together. and sharing with this, and there's been 30,000 plus people implemented with an implementer. We call it implementation when you roll this out into a company, and then there's probably multiple 10 that have self-implemented with that book traction. So it's a proven system.
It's a great system if you haven't known. Definitely read the book because it's a very easy read, and I think all operation systems frameworks, they operating systems, they all start with a good book. From my experience,
Right.
I think what's I'd like to talk about specifically is because you've worked with so many companies across the United States, it sounds like you're working with SMBs, 450. You're definitely mid-market to enterprise. I'm guessing somewhere in that realm.
Yep.
And I think this is applicable for any company. And it's been largely helpful for us, and we can kind of make fun of my company when you came in and we were a mess, and there's some real concrete takeaways that I'll share a little bit later. But at the end of the day, like when you go in, and we're all at the end of the day trying to solve revenue. The purpose of the show is to drive revenue to good companies for good people so they can give back to those around them. That's the entire point of Get the Money. Get the money for a purpose, not just get the money. So when you're going into these companies, like what's the number one factor, let's say, that prevents companies from breaking through the revenue ceiling?
Great question. Leadership ambiguity around revenue.
Say that again.
Leadership ambiguity around revenue.
So clarity.
Yeah.
So leaders are not clear on revenue, or?
Yeah. So the way it typically goes, I'll call it a founder-led company. Regardless of size, there's that founder. Even the big companies back in the day, Steve Jobs, just name the person that was the cult of personality, right? The idea. So it doesn't matter, small, mid, large. With that in mind, founder-led companies, typically what ends up happening is, I'm just going to go through the motions of thinking about the client journey for a moment. Marketing brings in, they think they own something. They bring it in. The sales then owns something. Then the operations team thinks they own something, but nobody owns anything because they all own something, but there's ambiguity about who owns it, right? And so ultimately leadership has to own it, right? It has to have a proven way for the client journey period. The lack of clarity shows up in a small to mid-sized businesses like this. The sales leader, sales owner, usually the owner, says, okay, this is what we want. And even if there's a sales manager, that person hands it off to somebody, and those operations people are all angry because, the marketing people brought some bad people into sales, and salespeople sold it because they made some promises. And then the owner swoops in with a big sale close and is the hero. And that's fine for a while, but they hit that level, they just hit a ceiling, essentially.
So we hear that all the time. We hear that teams are siloed. Again, you can pick on any function of the team, whether marketing is bringing the wrong leads, or sales are selling the wrong deals, or leadership is doing whatever leadership wants because they're visionaries. But at the end of the day, you're right. There's such a disconnect from every business that we work with. I mean, that's why we're in business. We're aligning people. It sounds like every business that hires EOS, it's pretty common, right? So
right.
How do you help the companies overcome that lack of clarity, being siloed? Like what does EOS do, or what do you do?
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter if it's EOS.
Yeah, I follow the proven process. So it's not going to be about Dave Borland. Although, obviously each client resonates differently with somebody that they're working with. So I resonate with certain type of people, which is good. Like you.
You're our guy.
Oh, thank you. There are, the methodology we use is we work with leadership teams, period. Right. So I'm not in the business. I'm not an operational consultant. My job is not to get in there with the ops team or the sales team and teach them how to do sales or marketing or anything like that. Whether I had background in anything, it does not matter. So my hope is when I come in that the team will take it from there at some point. And what's there? The purpose of me coming in is to align that clarity. So we come in, we talk about foundational tools, things that you've talked about, I'm sure, which is the idea of with revenue, it's like, well, what is it? What are the indicators that we know we're going to have revenue? What are the indicators we know we're going to keep that client when we have that revenue? And build that revenue, for example, from those existing clients. Everything. And then there's more to that, of course, the other side of it, the operations side, the finance side, all of those things too, HR, the back end versus front end, front stage, backstage. the idea behind this is we have a clear method that brings people through it quickly. So my hope is that they will pick it up quickly. And it's not easy. I said earlier, it's simple, but it's not easy. And you have to be able to attack the issue, which is what is the issue in the room. And so often the people in the room are looking at that founder and they're just watching him or her and waiting for an answer. And that's not how a good company should be run. At some point, the leaders have to lead other leaders, and those leaders have to lead other people who are leaders too. And so breaking through that ceiling as part of our process. So with somebody like me, you might work with me for a couple of years, and then you get it. Or some people quicker. I have a client who has been doing it for 8-9 years with me. I facilitate them at this point. I'm not teaching, coaching. I'm facilitating, and so they can be the owners and the leaders can be in the room and not have to facilitate themselves.
I mean, we all need a gym trainer, and I think I'm a type of person that needs that reinforcement and that constant coming in. So, I mean, I know EOS really well, obviously, because we've been through it, but you keep going back to founder, and then the founder, he or she, is not connecting with the different teams, and they maybe are fearful to say things. How do you break down those walls when you're in there and the founder is the founder?
Right. Yeah, you mean the ego gets in the way? Is that what you mean?
Well, I'll fall on the sword here, but like as a founder and as a visionary, like you just think everything is super clear. You think everybody gets it, and then operations is looking at you like deer in headlights, and then everybody else just, it's just the confusion that you're delivering without knowing you're delivering is fundamentally problematic to revenue.
Right.
So how do you get founders who think they know exactly what is right, to overcome that?
Right, great question. Right, founders, visionaries are usually faster than everyone. Right, their minds are going 1,000 miles an hour, and there's new ideas all the time. And so the clarity of that is asking, what is it that you really want? And so ultimately, that's a question they think they know the answer to. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it is revenue, but revenue, what do you get from the revenue? Right. And so what do you get from the profit left at the end of the year? Hopefully it's not just another boat or something like that. The idea, what is it that you want? And so you think about the purpose. You mentioned a purpose earlier. What is it that they put on this planet for that they care about? Right. Is it about money? Okay, we'll do that. Is it about some sort of greater purpose in life? So I ask those questions to them that maybe not their team has never asked them before. And in front of them, and I think that's the key there. I'm not an executive coach. It's not what I do. I'm not your life coach, right? This is not a one-on-one conversation. I do it in front of everyone. And that is the part that's a little different.
I'm trying to think back if you did this for our company, because I think that's really interesting because as leaders, you're trying to connect the business goals to personal goals.
Right.
Like if you're a good leader, you can do that. I don't know if you did that to us. You probably did with your Jedi tricks. But so when the founder opens up and then ties it to personal goals, like I believe in my people, I want to give them raises, I want to give back to them. Like they may have never actually said that to their people before, right?
Yeah.
And then that is a light bulb for their people too. Yeah. Both of them probably.
They need to know that their founder is a real person.
Okay.
And usually that person has an ego, and they said, well, I'm supposed to never let them see me sweat thing. I've heard that at some point on an ad, sure, but it also means like I'm supposed to be some tough person, that everyone can follow. But if you think about the great leaders in the world, they also had either they're human. Right. And so you can't have such a huge ego that people will just follow you because they have to and they don't know why. And so I think the why question is a big one for a lot of them. So in terms of revenue, bring it back to revenue for a second. Why do we need that revenue? Sometimes it's as a smaller company because they might be failing and they don't tell their team. Mm-hmm. In the mid-sized companies or the companies, another team might own the company. And that person, if they don't do it, they're not there. They don't have an income for themselves. And it never comes out because it seems easy and obvious. Mm-hmm. But if you shared that with somebody like, hey, this is the reason I do this. I have an income issue. Here's what it looks like. Or this is where we want to grow to. Sometimes they're not making money. They are making money, but they're not hitting that stride Harvard Business Review had this 5 levels of company. Over, I think, in the 60s, they did this study.
I just read that 2 weeks ago.
Did you really?
It's super funny you said that.
Yeah. Level 1, I call it the contractor with the white van, and there's one guy, and maybe he's a helper. That's it, right? And they never break through that. And then there's the next level, the next level, the next level, and you get to level 5. Let's call that Amazon. That right now. And Amazon used to be Sears and JCPenney, all those companies. And those were level 5 at some point, but you can always go backwards or out. But the idea of getting them there starts with that person having to break through, we call revolution and evolution. Revolution is that thing. Like, you've got to change something. And sometimes in founder companies, it's the idea that they have to own everything. They have to own the big sales. They have to own the client every time. So call me, here's my business card, but there's something going wrong. $1 million, $10 million sale, doesn't matter, right? It feels like that owner, as soon as they get out of their own way, that's when things happen.
I mean, that's 100% true, because when you start the business, you run the business and you feel like you know everything about the business, because you probably do. But the proverbial bus, like, if you get hit by a bus, what happens to your people? And I think good leaders will see that. It's very hard to let go.
Right.
And you made a good point a second ago about founders feeling like they have to hold everything and wall everything off. And then you have the other side of the table that feels like they can't be forthcoming with what they're seeing and what's happening. Like, that wall is so understated. I feel like you could write a book solely on breaking down that wall, because, like, you and I are in EO together, not EOS, EO together. And when you have leaders and entrepreneurs together, all of these walls come down, and we're like, oh my God, are you not sleeping? Are you not making payroll? Like, all of these things come out that you would never historically tell your team.
Right.
Man, I didn't think EOS was like actually did that. So obviously you did it for us, and I wasn't listening appropriately because my head was moving a million miles an hour. So let me ask you a question, because this is relevant, and hopefully this is relevant to our listeners. I've had both ends of the spectrum, which I think I failed both ways. So I've taken an approach where, like, I've kept things close to my chest because, like, things weren't going great or something happened, and it wasn't super transparent to my team. And then obviously, like, things go awry or there's friction there you can see as a founder. And then when I learned that was a mistake, that I should bring my team in, I went the other way. And then it was fire hose. It was like, this is radical candor. Here's where we're at. Here's the numbers. We're going to get in this together. And that has backfired too, because then they don't feel safe and they don't feel protected. I'm like, guys, we'll get through this. Don't worry. So is there a happy medium about how far the wall comes down?
Yeah, it's tricky. We're talking about humans, right? Yeah. And so the concept of what I do is, like, we'll start with foundational tools. Specifically, one's called the accountability chart. What's that thing? And then we talk about score. Well, the thing. It looks like an org chart, but it's like role clarity. And then within that, there's numbers for everything. And if we're doing those things, it's a humming business, and it's great. So numbers being scorecard, we call that, the measurables. So when this thing comes up where I have this problem that's keeping me up at 2 a.m., and how do I share that with the team? The hope is that within our system, there's a weekly meeting that the leadership team meets on, and you have real issues, you bring them up and that kind of thing. So the leaders have to be able to take it. It's a part of the leadership team to understand what the rest of the team can handle right now. And so sometimes when it's the founder-led thing, and they just got to have the meeting with all 20 or 50 people, and then they just show up and they go, okay, we could be closing next week if we don't do X. That's, of course, would panic people, because they didn't know it was coming. They thought we were great. They didn't have any indicators to know that we are moving in the wrong direction. So when I come in, we're working with a company who is in a turnaround situation. They are in a spot where they're just stuck. Turnarounds are harder, right? Because that's where you have to have that hard conversation. But if you're thinking about the first part, which is we're stuck at 3 million, 10 million, whatever. If we don't do this, we can't pay you as much next year, or some of you might have to go. Like, it's a thing. And so obviously a company needs money, profit to, it's the engine of everything. So here's good news. We have a plan. right? And so that's where it's, when you said it was good, we have good news, it's fine. Well, great, show us, right? And so once that you show them, like, here's what we're going to do, we have a plan for this, or we need you to help us with this plan. So who's going to help us? The leaders only. I can't have everyone, a 20-person organization. You just imagine politics, right? Everybody has an opinion, and if we only had opinions, we would never do anything. Somebody's got to make a choice. And so the choice is through the leadership. Who owns it? Who owns this issue? Who owns revenue, period? The whole thing, like you guys do, this idea of bringing them through the teams, and there's no silos. And so there's that section that says, great, revenue. Also expenses. You got some people for that back end stuff. Making sure that what we make is profitable when we sell it. Right? Let's just start there. So that idea of what I love about that, I hope I'm answering your question, is when the founder comes in, it can't be knee jerk, which is have a system, have a operating system, a revenue operating system, a business operating system that does that. That has you intentionally having these conversations regularly, just like you do with the EO. You have those. They have them monthly. In terms of that, you meet people like you, and you have that safe space, if you will, to have that open and honest. And the wrong people will leave. The right people will double down with you for a while, right? As long as they can.
I'll give you the takeaway that we had. So, because I'm a visionary and I just think this is going to happen without having to go through the process. It's just magically going to happen. The process of EOS is simple. It's easy to understand. It is not easy to do. You have to really dive in. So I love the L10s. We still do L10s weekly, which are the meetings. I think my biggest takeaway that I've had, and we worked together for years, and the biggest takeaway I had was owners, leaders, you never feel like you're moving forward. Or you may be moving forward, you may win some deals, and those are nice to haves, right? But I remember you taking us through one of the quarterly reviews, and you just made us all go up to the whiteboard. You're like, "What did you accomplish in the last 90 days?"
Right.
And it was the size of this wall in this studio. It was massive.
Huge. I love that wall. Yeah.
And it was just everybody wrote down, and it was such a refreshing feeling for everybody in the team to look at it and just say, "Oh my God, look how much we did in 90 days." And you never think like that. I've been in business for 15 years, and I never have done that. I was like, you usually measure by your last deal or your client renewal. Or
you're right, because as a visionary, you're thinking new things, and you're like, well, we got to drive forward, and that's what happens. So I'm glad that resonated with you.
We still do it because it's so impactful. Because if you're having a bad day, if you're having a bad quarter, or the world is what the world is, who knows? The last 2 years, we've overhauled our business and we've reinvented. And I'm really proud of what we've done because we went through the steps of EOS. So we've learned, you coach the coach, train the trainer, whatever you want to say. But I still follow EOS. I think that's the biggest takeaway for us. I would certainly, for our listeners, if you haven't heard of EOS or you haven't done anything, go on their website. You can check out their YouTube videos. Dave has great content as well. Read the book, Gino Wickman, Traction. There's Rocket Fuel. There's a bunch of other ones I haven't read, but they're really good, and it helps put it in perspective. But what's one takeaway for our listeners? Because there's a lot, and EOS is a huge process for everyone. What's one takeaway that they can use today?
Yeah. If you're a founder, you want to start with that one?
You do it.
Okay.
Your show. Whatever
if you're a founder, you break through the ceiling, not because you're weak, it's because you're necessary. And so that's the takeaway I want you to think of. If you're a founder, how can I become unnecessary to my own business and still love it? And where do I need to become unnecessary next?
I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking, if I was in your shoes, I would have answered when you did the org chart, and what happens every single time the org chart, one or two people are in every single box.
Right.
Yeah. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have to get this box assigned to somebody else. And that's part of the magic of EOS is as simple as that sounds, it's really not. The founder has to release some things. You have to find somebody who's good, get it, want it, have the time for it. GWC. See, I remember some of the acronyms.
There you go.
EOS.
That's right.
I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking the org chart. Okay, just in the interest of time, 26 minutes. Your time is valuable. Our time is valuable. We have a mystery question. So imagine the apocalypse has happened and money is worthless. So you're skilled in helping companies grow money, get money, figure out teams, figure out people. What is the one skill you have that you could use to trade for food or housing in a scenario where money has no value?
What a great question. I need to become a prepper. What is my one skill? Well, my one skill typically is aligning people. So I think what ended up happening, I don't know if this is tradable though. Here's how I'm going with this for a second. In the apocalypse, the Mad Max kind of worlds, right? And there is a group of people that typically take over. You know, that was Tina Turner, and that one part. She was the leader. They needed a leader. I could do that.
You're Tina Turner.
I could be Tina Turner,
Simply
or I could be the big ogre guy, or whatever that was, the little guy in the shoulder. I don't know. Anyway, Tina Turner. Yes, I'm going with Tina Turner. The idea of aligning the human energy that needs to do that, as opposed to you getting your own food and I get my own food. I would organize that probably. I don't know if I can get food from that right away, but once we got moving, we'll be fine.
If you've seen Mad Max, she's the pinnacle of that. Not two men enter, one man leave.
That's right.
Whatever the chant was.
I wouldn't be evil like her, but it's just that's what she did. She came around.
You're the Tina Turner. All right. This is one of our better questions. I
love
think.
it.
So anyway, where can people find you? Obviously, LinkedIn.
Yes, absolutely. LinkedIn. My website, you can go to two places, growexceptional.com. It's one way to get me, if you remember that one. Or eosworldwide.com/Dave Borland.
Okay, we'll go to Grow Exceptional. That's easy to remember.
Grow Exceptional.
And then you're on LinkedIn as Dave Borland. Are there a lot of Dave Borlands? I always ask this question. Are there a lot of Dave Borlands?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No.
So
not like me, though.
No one's like you.
Thank you.
So, the guy at the top of the shelf that's singing Simply the Best from Tina Turner.
That's right. So, I'm singing it right now in my head.
Well, it's been a good show. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, Dave, for coming in. I want to give a big shout out to Brightsided Studio. That's where we're here. This is the last episode in this building. So we're moving to a new studio. So we're really excited about that. So it'll look similar, I'm guessing, from our producers over here. But this is GTM, Get the Money. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for tuning in, where we believe revenue solves all, but it only solves all for good people. Have a great day.